Here's the rewritten script with the same tone, template, and length. There's a type of person who hears dinner plans Friday night and immediately starts crafting a polite exit. Not because something's wrong with them, not because people make them nervous, but because they genuinely feel most alive when they're alone. And psychologists just discovered why everything we thought about them has been completely off. There's a difference between solitude and loneliness. One is an ache, the other might actually be a gift. For years, psychology threw everyone who preferred their own company into one giant red flag bucket. Introverts, recluses, antisocial. That last label especially, as if enjoying your own presence meant you were quietly plotting something sinister in a basement somewhere. Then the research started shifting. In 2016, a team at the University of Buffalo did something surprisingly simple that nobody had really bothered to do before. They asked one straightforward question. What if certain people genuinely just prefer being alone? Not out of fear, not out of damage, but because solitude actually fills them up rather than draining them. They named it unsociability. Not antisocial. That's a whole different thing. That's active hostility, aggression toward others. Not avoidant either. That's rooted in fear. Unsociability is the calm, grounded, deliberate preference for your own space. And when researchers studied these people, the twist nobody saw coming, they were doing remarkably well. Better than well, actually. So let's talk about what's genuinely happening inside the brain of someone who thrives alone. First, their dopamine wiring operates differently. You know how extroverts get that electric rush from being around people, the energy, the laughter, the social buzz? People who prefer solitude have a more finely tuned dopamine system. They hit their optimal stimulation ceiling faster. Think of it like heat tolerance. An extrovert needs the whole chili pepper to register warmth. Someone who loves solitude, one small flake, and they're completely satisfied. But here's where it gets genuinely fascinating. Their prefrontal cortex, the region responsible for deep thought, self-awareness, and complex reasoning, lights up during alone time. They're not zoning out into nothingness. Their minds are running full speed through reflection, innovation, and mental synthesis. And research on creativity keeps confirming the same thing. Breakthrough ideas don't emerge from group brainstorms or packed conference rooms. They surface in the shower, on quiet morning walks, at midnight when the rest of the world has gone silent. Einstein worked best in isolation. So did Newton. Virginia Woolf wrote an entire essay titled A Room of One's Own about this precise need. Maya Angelou rented hotel rooms just to write, despite having a perfectly comfortable home to work in. A pattern? Absolutely. Now, before half of you start nodding along saying, yes, this is literally me, let's slow down for a moment. There's a critical distinction that needs to be made here. Are you choosing solitude, or are you hiding inside it? Because here's the part that requires real honesty. Some people aren't embracing being alone. They're using it as a wall, a barrier against vulnerability, rejection, or the risk that comes with genuine human connection. Psychologist Abraham Maslow addressed this directly. He said healthy solitude comes from fullness, not from emptiness. You enjoy being alone because you've experienced real connection, and you know it's available to you. You're not escaping people. You're deliberately moving toward yourself. The real question isn't whether you like being alone. The question is what's underneath that preference. If your answer sounds like recharge, create, think, reflect, you're likely in that healthy unsociability space. If your answer sounds like safer, less painful, easier to avoid, that might be something worth sitting with more carefully. Not something shameful, not something broken, just something worth examining honestly with someone you trust. But let's return to the people who genuinely flourish in solitude because they've quietly discovered something the rest of us are still catching up to. They've learned that being alone doesn't equal being incomplete. Consider the language we use around relationships. My other half. My missing piece. You complete me. We've constructed an entire cultural story around the idea that humans are somehow fractured beings searching endlessly for whoever makes them whole. People who love solitude looked at that story and said, actually, I was already whole. And what's remarkable is this isn't arrogance. It's clarity. Research from Dr. Bella DiPaolo at UC Santa Barbara found that single people who genuinely embrace solitude often maintain deeper, richer connections with friends, family, and community than their partnered counterparts. Because they're not funneling every emotional need through one single person. They're not desperate. They're intentional. They understand something most people never figure out. The quality of your time alone directly shapes the quality of your time with others. When you're grounded, restored, and mentally clear from genuine solitude, you show up differently in every relationship. You're not burned out. You're not resentful. You're not looking for someone else to patch the hollow places inside you. You're arriving fully formed because you've already done the inner work at your own table. There's real strength in that. Here's something worth knowing. In Japan, there's a concept called hitori, intentional time alone. And it isn't just tolerated. It's honored. There are restaurants with private solo seating designed specifically for one diner. Cinemas with individual seats that don't make you feel like an afterthought. Entire cultural rituals built around the understanding that sometimes a person simply needs to exist quietly with themselves. They even have solo karaoke booths. Soundproofed rooms built specifically so you can sing alone. That's how seriously they take it. Meanwhile, in the West, someone eating alone at a restaurant still gets asked if they're waiting for someone. As if eating by yourself requires an explanation. Fascinating contrast. So what does all of this mean for you? If you're someone who genuinely loves your own company, here's what you need to hear. You are not strange. You are not malfunctioning. Your brain is literally built to restore itself through solitude. And that isn't just acceptable, it's genuinely valuable. The world needs people who can be still with themselves. People who can think with depth and without constant noise. People who understand the difference between real connection and emotional dependency. In an era of endless notifications, instant replies, and the unspoken rule that you must always be reachable, the ability to truly enjoy your own company might be the most quietly rebellious thing you can do. Just make sure you're not confusing preference with self-protection. Be honest with yourself. Can you connect when you actually want to? Do you have people you genuinely trust? Are you moving towards solitude or away from other people? Because the healthiest version of loving your own company is one where it's a conscious choice, not a defense mechanism. The next time someone asks why you're always by yourself, or why you backed out of those plans, or why you'd rather spend a Saturday with a good book than fight for a spot at a crowded bar, you can walk them through dopamine sensitivity, prefrontal cortex activation, the concept of hitori, and the mountain of research showing that solitude isn't social failure. In most cases, it's social wisdom. Or you can simply look at them and say, because I genuinely enjoy my own company. That tends to wrap the conversation up quite efficiently. And honestly, that's the whole point. If this video just put words to something you've felt your entire life, but could never quite articulate, don't scroll away yet. The videos on screen are the natural next steps. One breaks down why you recharge the way you do and why certain solo rituals feel non-negotiable. The other gets into how your brain handles stimulation differently and how that quietly shapes every part of your daily life. They're not random suggestions. They directly answer the questions this video most likely just raised. I'll meet you there.